Okay. All right, we're here with Fauquier County Sheriff Bob Mosier. Yeah. He's our first guest for one of the Fauquier Times pre-paper chats, I guess. I don't even know what we're calling this. We don't have a name, but we're trying to do these little videos to tell people what's in the paper, but we also thought this would be a good opportunity to tell them about your town hall, which is on Thursday. Yeah. So tell us where it is.
Well, Jill, thank you so much for including me in the first of, I'm sure, a series of presentations going forward. So, yeah, the town hall, it's scheduled for this Thursday. And we're going to have it over at the Warrenton Community Center, and it's at 7:30. And what we do is we typically will go on for a town hall. We'll put out flyers in the community so people are aware that we're going to have the town hall. But it's an opportunity for us to kind of cover some of the things that we've been working on collectively over a period of time and give people updates on what they're interested in. And then the more important part, though, too, is not just to give the updates, but to also hear from the community about what's on their mind.
Right.
So we encourage people to attend, and if they have something that's on their mind, that's really the first order of business. We will get to that point and find out what that is and work through that, any questions that folks may have on that.
Great. Well, we thought of you this week because we know you've been in the news, or the Sheriff's Department has been in the news as working with the school division to expand the school officer resource program and also to add these additional security positions. And it's a pretty significant, investment in our school security.
Yes, it is.
And I'm told that the school division will eventually be adding 15 positions. That's right. And 12 of them are going to be school security specialists. And the other are SROs. Can you explain to people what that means?
Let me start with that.
Okay.
So the General Assembly, they passed legislation this year, that comes into effect this year, for the ability to arm a school security officer, an SSO. And so with that, they're trained separately than you would a school resource officer, which is different. A school resource officer is a deputy sheriff, is a fully functioning law enforcement officer inside the school. The school security officer is security related, and that's really where it begins and where it ends, in the security posture. So probably the easiest way to think about it, the school security would be someone that would be checking on things, the camera systems, and making sure unauthorized people are not inside the school. Like, are you wearing your ID card? Things like this. That part of it, and they operate at a lower standard, a lower threshold of a requirement under the law. But with the change in legislation, it allowed for a school security officer to be armed. So when we were given this information and talking to the school division, it came abundantly clear that for someone to be armed as a school security officer, that they had to go through specialized training to receive being armed. Also, the Code of Virginia relies on the fact that you would be hiring a retired law enforcement officer to fill that role. So they have an understanding of the law and their law enforcement background. So these are the folks that you would put into those positions. Now, for them to be armed, though, the sheriff has to sign off on that person being armed. So what that represented to me was a fact that we would have armed personnel in our schools working for the school division, and that's ultimately what we're going to do. But the security specialists, the reason why this is in place is because when people are initially hired to come into this role of school security, we're doing a full background investigation. All right. Regardless if you retired from law enforcement or you've been out of law enforcement for the past 10 years or not, we are going to do a full background, which will include a polygraph. We want to make sure before we sign off on someone being armed with our children in the schools that they've had a full and complete background investigation. So that's the first piece of it. The second piece is we're fully prepared and geared to create the standardization environment for security. So the uniforms, firearms, the school division doesn't purchase firearms, right? We do. So we can go through the process of properly equipping and give them the appropriate arms to be able to function as a school security officer. So this is the way it's going to work. We, in working with the school division, county board of supervisors, school board, everyone came to the table, talked about these things and how we could do it. And so we will do the initial recruitment, selection, and hiring with the school division. So we will be engaged in that process with the county HR department. We'll hire these people, bring them on board, get them trained, certified, uniformed, outfitted, and after they've completed all the training, they've completed the background information, everything has been done, then we will go ahead and sign off on them to be a school security officer, and then we will transition them to the school division, for they will be they will be employed by the school division for this as a school security officer.
All right, so the goal is to have this in place by next fall, is that right?
Yeah, it's ambitious, yes, but yes, okay. We are working in that direction. Now, the other caveat I should throw in here too is that the Board of Supervisors, recognizing the fact that, okay, we're going to have school security officers, we're going to be going that direction, but there's also a need for school resource officers as well. And so 3 positions were approved for school resource officers. One to be placed at Claude Thompson Elementary up north, and then at Mary Walter Elementary down south, and at the Southeastern Alternative School. So those 3 positions will come on board as well, with the idea that at some point SROs, school resource officers, SROs, this is the law enforcement deputy, will be at every school, but it's going to take us a while to get from here to there in the future, just because of the training requirement and hiring the equipment, the outfit. There's a lot involved in that, so it's going to take a little bit of a longer time, but we're going to get to that end state. So this is truly a stand in the gap measure with the SSOs, and then working towards SROs in the future.
So we're also wondering, in addition to these positions, are you having discussions with the school division just about other steps that might be taken in the regular course of a school day, or maybe just general operations that that you might change as a result of some of these horrible events that we've had around the country?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I wish Superintendent Jeck were here with me, because I really have to hand it to Superintendent Jeck in the school division, because he hosted a discussion panel, a meeting, if you will, to kind of get all these ideas out on the table. Were you there? I don't know if you were there.
We did cover it. I think it was like in February or March.
Right. And so they came out and they brainstormed ideas, and the things that we brought to the table that we talked about, really from a security perspective, was the standardization of security protocols or measures wherever they were. And so we offered our input in that way. And I kind of proffer the idea in these terms when you think about it. Our embassies around the world, they're embassies, but yet the security within the embassies is standardized throughout the world. Now the mission might be different for every embassy, right? The mission might be different, elementary or a high school, but the standards for security should be the same, so that way they're all aware and everyone can operate within those security standards and protocols. And that was the big takeaway, at least from our side, in working with the school division, that they recognize that, and we're working together to implement certain things. I don't want to get into what those are, just for the sake of security as we move in this direction, but absolutely working through it.
Okay. Are there ways the community can help you with this goal of keeping our schools safer? I mean,
yes,
do you
absolutely.
have suggestions?
Yeah, this is critical. And it's happening. It's happening weekly. Where we receive information that's of concern. Either a parent heard it from a child and they're reporting it to us or to the schools, and we work in collaboration with the schools to identify the source of the concern, and then get right into it, and then take the appropriate action if necessary. So I think there's something recently that may be coming out that just occurred this over the past 48 hours, I think, that
social media.
Social media. I mean, it's a big part of it. But all that to say is that we receive this information, and then we take immediate action wherever we can, and make sure we are where we need to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that incident involved Warrenton Middle School, and a student had made a threat over social media, and that came out today, I believe.
Right. That's correct.
And is that the first type of threat we've had like that recently, or is that?
No, I think it's been, and we're not the only jurisdiction that's going through this.
Right.
I talked to Chief Bernard over in Prince William, and they've had several there, and so it's something that's happening, I think, around the country, but definitely inside our region as well. But the key to all of this really is the first time that we're made aware of a particular issue, that we address it immediately. We don't. There's no lag time. We'll get on it and follow it through right to the end.
Okay, great. Well, we appreciate that you're paying so much attention and working so hard on this issue.
Yeah.
And the community, I'm sure, appreciates it too. So maybe you'll talk about it tonight, or excuse me, not tonight, Thursday night, right?
Yeah. No, we'll talk about it tomorrow night. Yeah, Jill, thank you for the opportunity to be part of the first. Right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm doing this. And then, but also just the open dialogue with the community that we talk about on these matters, because they are important, and we want to do your sheriff's office wants to do everything that we can to be responsive in any scenario. And so for us to be able to engage in this way will prove better and safer for the community overall, because it's truly where we get the information from to be able to go forward. So
it's a community effort.
It is.
It
is.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Jill?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very much.